shocking message from Jannik Sinner after the Paris final. Jannik Sinner appeared satisfied and happy to have regained the world number 1 spot after winning the Paris Masters, although he remains cautious. The Italian, who did not hide his happiness after defeating Felix Auger-Aliassime in the final of the French tournament, repeatedly emphasized that his fate does not depend solely on him and that he will not be focused on what Carlos Alcaraz does at the ATP finals. It had seemed unlikely that Jannik Sinner could climb back to the top of the ATP rankings after being forced to retire in the third round of the Shanghai Masters due to physical problems. But the titles he won in just 1 week in Vienna and Paris, along with Carlos Alcaraz's precautionary absence from the Asian tournament and, above all, the shock early elimination against Cameron Norrie, have returned him to number 1 before the season's final event. Despite that, Sinner continues to be very cautious, as finishing the year at the top of the rankings for the second consecutive year does not depend solely on him. Well, it doesn't only depend on me, but of course I'm happy. I knew from the start of the week that this possibility existed. But as I said before the final, before every tournament or every match, I try to give my best on court, and then we'll see what happens, he said in the press conference after the final against Felix Auger-Aliassime. And that's how I went out on the court. In Turin, I'll do the same. I'll focus on my side of the court and play my best tennis possible, and if I can't win, I can't win. The goal this week was to take things day by day, trying to maximize my potential, something I've achieved, and I'm very happy. As I said, now it's time to recharge and hopefully be as ready as possible for Turin, where we hope to have a great week of tennis, concluded the player from San Candido. Sinner must win the ATP finals undefeated again to put more pressure on Carlos Alcaraz, who, due to this situation, is forced to win at least 3 matches, whether all in the group stage or a combination of 1 or 2 knockout matches with the group phase. Any defeat by Sinner reduces the pressure on the Spaniard, who, however, will arrive with doubts after a poor showing in Paris and facing tough top 10 rivals. Jannik Sinner conquers the Paris Masters 1000 and regains the world number 1. Jannik Sinner defeated Felix Auger-Aliassime in the final of the Paris Masters 1000 and returned to the top of the world rankings, displacing Carlos Alcaraz. The Italian Jannik Sinner closed a perfect week at the Paris Masters 1000 by defeating Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime on Sunday, November 2, by 6-4, 7-6, 4. With this victory, the 24-year-old not only claimed his first Masters 1000 title of the year but also regained the number 1 spot in the ATP rankings, a position he once again takes from Spanish rival Carlos Alcaraz. The triumph in the French capital marks Sinner's 26th consecutive indoor win, a surface on which he has been virtually unbeatable. This title represents his 5th trophy of the 2025 season, the 23rd of his career, and his 5th Masters 1000 overall, his first since Shanghai 2024. After winning the Australian Open and Wimbledon, the Italian has confirmed his dominance on the circuit. Since July, he has lost only 3 matches, 2 of them due to retirements, and has claimed titles in Vienna, Paris, and 2 other tournaments, solidifying his status as the most consistent player of 2025. The rise of the Italian is even more remarkable considering that at the beginning of the season he had to serve a temporary suspension for doping, from which he returned stronger than ever. In Paris, he completed the tournament without dropping a single set, something that hadn't happened in a Masters 1000 since Indian Wells 2023, when Alcaraz achieved the same feat. With this new trophy, Sinner joins the select group of active players with 5 or more Masters 1000 titles, alongside Novak Djokovic, 40, Alcaraz, 8, Alexander Zverev, 7, and Daniil Medvedev, 6. Return to the world throne. In the final, Sinner was dominant from the start. He broke Auger-Aliassime's serve in the opening game and never lost control of the match. He dominated with his serve, conceding only 3 points in the entire first set. Although the Canadian raised his level in the second and forced a tiebreak, the Italian maintained his composure and sealed the win in just over an hour and a half. Thus, Jannik Sinner regains the top of the tennis world, a position he had lost in August after falling to Alcaraz in the US Open final. However, his reign could be short-lived. In the coming weeks, he will compete in the ATP finals in Turin, where he defends 1,500 points, while Alcaraz needs only 3 wins to reclaim the top spot. These are Alcaraz's scenarios to regain number 1 at the ATP finals. Alcaraz will finish the year as world number 1 if Sinner does not win the title. He wins all 3 group stage matches. He reaches the final after winning 1 or 2 group stage matches. He wins 2 matches and Sinner wins the title but loses 1. He wins 1 group stage match and Sinner wins the title losing 2 matches. A detailed analysis of what Alcaraz needs to do to reclaim the ATP number 1 ranking from Jannik Sinner at the 2025 ATP Finals. Jannik Sinner insults his coach in a court outburst as his future remains uncertain. Jannik Sinner's frustrations boiled over on Friday night during the Paris Masters quarterfinals when he was caught swearing at his team mid-match against Ben Shelton. Despite taking the first set and leading 3-1 in the second, the Italian began muttering toward his box after being broken to love, demanding to know why they were effing sitting down. Sinner managed to regain composure and secured a 6-3, 6-3 win, but his future with coach Darren Cahill remains uncertain, as Cahill is expected to leave the team at the end of the season. His quarterfinal match against Shelton told a similar story. Sinner looked shaky at times but still won in straight sets. The four-time major champion expressed his dissatisfaction with his team early in the second set, urging them to show more energy. After a sloppy game, Sinner gestured toward his box, waving his arms. Commentator Adam Fielder noted, "You don't often see that from Sinner. I think he was just asking his team to stand up. They found it pretty funny." Darren Cahill stayed firmly seated. Shelton immediately broke back, prompting Sinner to confront his coaches during the changeover. "I get a break and you're effing sitting down," he snapped at Cahill and the team, who responded with shouts of encouragement, "Forza." Sinner secured another break late in the second set, thanks to a double fault from Shelton. That gave the Italian the chance to serve for the match, which he did successfully, sealing his spot in the semifinals with a winning shot. The 24-year-old may need to tread carefully with Cahill, as he hopes to convince the esteemed Australian coach to stay with him. Earlier in the season, Cahill had announced that this would be his final year coaching Sinner. However, after Sinner's Wimbledon victory, Cahill appeared to reconsider. When asked if he might change his mind, Cahill said, "I don't want to answer that. You know what? You'll have to ask Jannik." During the Italian segment of his press conference shortly afterward, Sinner joked, "Depends if I want to tell the truth or not. We made a bet before the final. I told him that if I won, he could choose whether to stay or not at the end of the year. Now the choice is mine." As the 2025 season draws to a close, Sinner and Cahill still have not discussed their future plans. Before the Vienna Open last week, the world number 2 told ATP media, "To be honest, we still haven't talked. We said we'd finish the year and then I might ask him for a long chat to try to convince him." But in any case, whether he stays or not, he's been an incredible person and obviously a coach who kept the team together during tough times. "He's like a second father to me, so I'm happy to have him here. It's a great privilege to work with him. Our goal is something very positive, that he stays, and I'll need a lot of hope for that." Sinner continues to play down his chances of reclaiming world number 1 at the conclusion of the 2025 Paris Masters if he manages to lift the trophy. The Italian, who is already in the semifinals after defeating Ben Shelton again despite physical concerns, admits he is still taking things day by day, focusing on overcoming each challenge, the next being Alexander Zverev. With his match-by-match mindset, Jannik Sinner remains focused on his goal of regaining world number 1 after the 2025 Paris Masters. The Italian, who needs to win the title in the French capital to return to the top, at least temporarily, and take the position from Carlos Alcaraz, refuses to get distracted and prefers to concentrate on clearing each remaining hurdle, 2 more to win the championship. Sinner confirms his romance with a famous model and influencer, the ex-girlfriend of Schumacher's son. Jannik Sinner has addressed rumors about a love triangle involving models Brooks Nader and Leyla Hasanovic. The Italian tennis player was elegant but direct, confirming his romantic relationship with Leyla, the ex-girlfriend of Mick Schumacher, son of Formula One legend Michael Schumacher. Sinner thus makes official his romance with Leyla, with whom he has been linked for months. "Thank you so much for your support. The work you all put in, the effort. Even understanding me sometimes is not easy, but thank you for your commitment. My family, my girlfriend, my friends, and even those who follow us from home, thank you so much for all your support," said Sinner.